I brought a couple things with me. I brought a brain. This is a plastic brain, not a real brain. And it's about the size of a young adult brain. And when we think about the human brain, there's one part that I'm particularly interested in, and many people are. It's the neocortex. In a human brain, the neocortex is this wrinkly thing around the outside. It's about 85% of the volume of the brain, 85%. And it's everything that you think about is important. The rest of the brain is shoved up inside like a post, almost like this microphone, and the neocortex is wrapped around it. Now, I say it's the most important thing. It's because it's where all high-level vision occurs, all language occurs, all high-level motor behavior planning occurs there. Almost anything you can tell me verbally that you can express and describe about things you know about the world is stored in the neocortex. That's really what makes us unique as a species. We have a very large neocortex, and other animals don't. In fact, only mammals have neocortex, and in humans it's very, very large. Now, I would remove the neocortex from your head, which wouldn't hurt because there's no nerve endings in your brain, and I would iron out the wrinkles in it. It would look like this dinner napkin. It's about 2 to 3 millimeters thick and about 1,000 square centimeters, just like this. It contains roughly 30 billion neurons and all their connections. And this sheet, which is inside of your head right now, is you. My sheet of cells, my dinner napkin is speaking right now, and yours is listening. And this sheet contains all your knowledge of the world, pretty much. And we want to know is, how does this thing work? What does it do, and how does it work? And if we know how it works, I figured a long time ago we could build machines that work on similar principles. And then that would be a really good thing for society. So that's what I've been working on. I'm going to tell you what we've learned so far in this process. Now, first of all, I'm going to describe the problem a little bit better. This is what a brain does. I can say, well, what does a cortex do? In this picture, you can think about the world is on the left. It's just a box, just showing my artistic skills here. The world is on the box, and it contains things like people, cars, buildings, and so on like that. And then on the right, we have your brain, the neocortex. And in between, we have your senses. We tend to think of the 3 major senses, the eyes, the ears, and the skin, but we actually have more than that, but just think of those 3. And what the senses do is they don't actually perceive the objects in the world. They just sort of take these slices of sensory things like light and sound and pressure, and they convert them into patterns on firings of nerve fibers, nerve cells. So there's about 1 million nerves on your optic nerve, and there's about 100,000 on your auditory nerve, and about 1 million coming from your spinal cord. Those neurons, those nerve cells are identical. There's no difference between the patterns that represent light and the patterns that represent sound. In fact, there is no light or sound or touch entering your brain. It is purely patterns, spatial and temporal patterns. And it's one of the most amazing things that your perception of the world is not really based on light. It's not really based on sound and touch and so on. It's actually just built up from patterns, pure abstract patterns. This is a fact. This is not speculation. And most neuroscientists come to realize this very quickly in their careers, and it's been written about quite a bit. Now we can ask ourselves, what does the brain actually do? Well, the simplest way to say it builds a model of the world. When you're born, your neocortex is there, but it doesn't know much. It doesn't know about buildings and cars and people and Oppenheimer and Los Alamos and Santa Fe and all these things. It has to build a model of the world. And we use a couple of terms. We tend to use the word causes for structures in the world. The causes, you can think of it as saying, what is the ultimate cause of the pattern on my retina? And a cause is a recurring pattern in the world. And on the right, we want our brain to learn to model those causes, to form representations, to have cells that actually fire and become active when those causes in the world are actually happening out there. So we have a model of causes, and this is the language we use.